Hi, my name is Miley, founder of Remarkable You and global ambassador for the Vascular Birthmarks Foundation, and this is More Than a Birthmark. Welcome to More Than a Birthmark, the web series featuring individuals with birthmarks to raise awareness and share some fun facts about this amazing community. My name is Miley, and today I have the opportunity to speak to my wonderful friend Liz, a 19-year-old college student and co-host of the first annual Pennsylvania Polka Dot Race. She is joining me today from her college campus in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Thanks so much for taking the time to speak today with me, Liz. Okay. So before we start, I wanted to share with our audience how I got to meet Liz. A couple years ago, my mom's friend told me that her daughter, Ava, had a friend who was born with Klippel-Trenaunay syndrome as well. She thought it'd be fun for us to meet. Liz, before meeting me, had you ever met a person with KTS or another type of vascular birthmark?
Not with KTS. You were definitely the first. You're the first person I remember meeting. I think my parents met a few people when I was like a baby or toddler, but I don't remember it. And actually, the friend that introduced us, is probably the first person I remember meeting because she also has a hemangioma.
Mm-hmm. You were the first person that I met with KTS, which I remember I was super excited about because I wanted to share my experiences with someone else who could relate, but no one really understood. Obviously I can meet someone with a vascular birthmark and share my story that way, but I feel like it's not the same as being oh, I have KTS and you have KTS, so you understand the symptoms that I experience personally. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was
That
our
was
first
better.
conversation was wild to
Yeah,
me. It was the first time I've ever had someone be like, "Oh, you get it." You get
yeah.
it in ways that nobody's ever got it.
All of the relatable things. Now, your experience growing up with KTS is a little different than mine. For those of you who may not be familiar with Klippel-Trenaunay syndrome, it is a overgrowth syndrome where the bones, tissues, lymphatic, and vascular systems in the affected limb can all overgrow. My procedures were for the overgrowth of my veins. Would you mind sharing a little bit about the procedures that you had growing up with your KTS?
Yeah, so my left foot is probably the most affected out of my whole body. And my first surgery was when I was a year old. And it was like technically two surgeries put into one, because my parents actually refused to let my doctors do two separate surgeries because I was so young. And the first one was to drain basically a big bump on the top of my foot. And the second one was to amputate my second toe so my foot could better fit into a shoe. And actually, the original plan for the surgery was just to remove the bump, but my parents got a second opinion that, and they said to amputate my toe as well. And
I
then
did
my
not
second
know that.
surgery, yeah,
I did
actually,
not
I didn't know that for a long time
know that. I
until
had no idea.
I learned that by reading my dad's blog called Dad Blog, and he wrote a lot about my experience with it
Yeah.
as a little kid, and they got the second opinion. And actually, the way they went to Boston Children's Hospital because my dad's cousin had connections there because he's a
Mhm.
pediatrician, so he was able to get us in. And actually, they were also the ones that kind of challenged top of my diagnosis. They didn't think I had KTS because back then they were like, you only have one syndrome and you can't have
Mhm.
multiple because pros wasn't a thing. So they were like, you have MCMTC
Mhm.
because I also had symptoms from that. And then my second surgery was when I was 12, and it was to stunt my left knee growth plate so my right leg could catch up because they were growing uneven.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No, that's actually very interesting. I did not know that you had your toe amputated. I'm not gonna lie. I knew the other
That's
stuff,
kind of,
but that's so cool. I had no idea that you had your toe amputated.
yeah. And
Yeah.
actually, you can't really tell because actually the way my doctor explained it to my parents was like people don't count toes. And
No,
like,
no one's looking at
yeah.
if you're looking at someone's feet and you're like 1, 2, 3. I think you have a
Literally.
problem. I think you have a problem. I'm just saying right now.
No, that's what I think. I was like, every
Yeah.
time someone stares at my foot, I'm like,
Like who
okay,
look at your foot like 1, 2, 3? Because I'm
literally.
sure not. Like I don't know. You also have a Port Weinstein birthmark. Can you tell our audience a little bit about MCMTC?
Yeah. I don't know as much about it just because technically it's not in my records. We
Mm.
just always like verbally said as a second opinion I was diagnosed with it. But when I was a baby, I had like the fishnet look on my legs, which was one of the like top symptoms. And also the first one was like macrocephaly, and technically I grew into my head mostly when as I got older, but as a baby I had like a fairly large head, and actually in elementary school they had these like did you have like a wellness day where they like took your like eyesight and like did an eye test on you
Yeah,
and like
they like
hearing
measured
tests?
you and stuff and like took your weight.
Mm-hmm. And then they always like send a report to your parents. And apparently, I did not know about this until my sister found this record. Every single year they said I was obese because of the what's it called? The like BMI, because
Yeah,
my head was so big. It was in like the 98th percentile. But like I wasn't. It was just because
yeah, you're
BMI is so inaccurate.
yeah.
The, and actually apparently my sister has had multiple like debates on whether or not BMI is accurate. And she always used me because I'm like a perfect example of why it's not.
What is that? It's like it's like body like weight like to like muscle mass or
Yeah,
something like that.
with like your head, like head mass. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember they did that. What PE class was that? That was my freshman year PE class. And it
Mm-hmm.
was like the most aggressive year I think they got with like wellness. And something that I didn't really like personally, and like, don't get me wrong, I think it's very important to be healthy. But what's unhealthy, especially for like the mental health of students, is to, in front of everybody else, throw somebody on like a scale and be like, yeah, so I think you could do this and this and this to lose a little bit of weight. Like, no, that's what they would do. They would be like, so I think you need to look at your goals a little bit and maybe find some way to target. Yeah, I was,
No, that's so bad.
I know. And I think honestly, like, if anything, it'd be better to do that in a separate room, but I don't think they should be telling you what you need to do with your body, period. And I think
Yeah.
that's something maybe they need to change in the school system, because I think obviously, like I said, it's important to be healthy, but then there's like a part where it's like, well, this isn't healthy for your mental health. So,
Mm-hmm.
and most of the people that they said needed to work on like their muscles or whatever, or like their body weight, like they were physically healthy. They're not like, obviously they're not like a bodybuilder. I know I'm not a bodybuilder, but Miss America Fit. Anyway, so after talking for a few months, Liz and I decided to drive from Philadelphia to Michigan to participate in the Purple Polka Dot Race
Mm-hmm.
in August of 2022, which was so fun. It was definitely a long drive, like 10 hours. So, what were some of your favorite parts of this trip?
I forget the game we were playing. I think it was like I don't remember the game, but your mom said something
Alphabet one, where we were
so
like, it was like A, and then like you said, like an animal or like like a fruit.
yeah, I think it was that. And she said something so funny that all of us were like in tears.
What was the one that was like? We played this one game that was like, was it a trivia?
I think
I
it
feel like I
was.
looked up at some point, like I looked up trivia questions, and like I did it like against you and my mom, and I was the one reading the trivia questions. So she was driving, and not gonna lie, Liz was like popping off, like she knew them, but I was looking at them, and I'm like, glad I'm
Yeah.
not playing. Like I'm glad I'm the one reading these. But I do remember playing the alphabet game for like I think an hour straight. It was painful.
I think your mom said like it was something to do with Michael Jackson, and she was like she did like the hee and then said something after it.
No, that wasn't good.
It was that.
Let me do it again. Let me do it again. Sorry, sorry, sorry. Ooh, high pitch.
So good.
So good.
Amazing.
Amazing. Yes. Yes. Um so anyway, like that. Yeah. we do that, you know. Michael Jackson embodying Michael Jackson.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I do remember playing the ABC game, trivia. I remember we stopped a lot at like fast food restaurants. I felt so sick after that trip from the amount of fast food that I consumed. Like
We did.
we had Burger King, we had like 7-Eleven. I remember eating like the little like ramen cups that you get like 7-Eleven, which okay, I'm not gonna complain because I do love ramen, but your girl felt so like sick to my stomach.
Especially after like sitting in the car right after.
Mm,
I felt probably the same way.
yeah, it was interesting to say the least. It was,
hmm
but it was worth it, right? Because we made it to the polka dot race and we made it home,
Totally.
and we got to ride on smooth roads. Sorry, Pennsylvania, but
True.
mhm,
True.
that was nice. And we also discovered that I think it was Ohio that has very, very nice rest stops.
hmm
Was it the turnpike or the highway? Turnpike, right?
I think it was,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Here we go. So we started talking about hosting our own race here in Pennsylvania on the way home, and I can't believe that it is happening in less than a month. Can you please tell our audience about the Purple Polka Dot race?
Yeah, it's we all wanted to bring it closer because Michigan is pretty far, and considering all of us live in Pennsylvania, it seemed like a perfect fit, and also is close to New Jersey people, New York people. So, and it has the same goals as the Michigan one, just got moved into Pennsylvania.
Exactly. And you know, something that I realized, because you mentioned like people in like the New Jersey, New York area, when I went to the and you went there too. It was the Wishlist by AM fashion show because you
Yes, yes.
photography for it. And I was modeling, and let me tell you how many people in the VBF, you know, global ambassador kind of group, like a lot of them are from New York, New Jersey area, which I had
Yeah.
no idea. And that makes sense why like the conference slash clinic is there because so many of them are there. But I didn't know.
hmm
Like, I don't think I realized until I went. So I think that's definitely useful having a race in Pennsylvania. Not to say that
Yeah.
Michigan won because Michigan's OG, we all know that. But I think it's nice to bring it to Pennsylvania for people that are closer to Pennsylvania than Michigan because it's more convenient for them. So who does the Pennsylvania and Michigan race benefit?
Okay. Yeah. The Michigan one is the biggest fundraiser for BBF, and the Pennsylvania race is also carrying into that as well.
We're definitely gathering participants, and that is super exciting. And we've been so grateful and honored to receive so many sponsorships our first year.
hmm
But hopefully, as we continue to do this and grow this race into a community like Michigan has, we can be also one of the biggest. Maybe we'll be in a tie with Michigan. Who knows? But so the Pennsylvania Pro Polka Dot race is November 5th, and it is a 5K walk run. And there's also a family fun run, and it starts at 11. And it is at the Castle Vineyards of Hershey. So if you want chocolate, if you're an adult and you want wine, come out, support.
Yes.
So we are still trying to get more participants. What would you say to someone who was thinking about coming but hasn't signed up yet?
It's a fun environment of people that it's like the first time we went to the Michigan one, I was so shocked of like how welcoming this community is, and especially seeing people like me with like a birthmark and just overall like a fun day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you do not need a birthmark to sign up. Like
Yeah.
we have a lot of people that come just to run the race, just to walk it, to support people with vascular birthmarks. So keep that in mind. Like you do not need a vascular birthmark to join us. If you do, that's awesome. You can be part of our birthmark buddies. And the people that do sign up with birthmarks get signs. So if you do have a birthmark, don't be afraid to sign up. Um,
hmm
but even if you don't have a vascular birthmark, coming out and supporting is means so much to the VBF community and for anyone with a vascular anomaly. Whoa, words are not coming out of my mouth. With a vascular anomaly. So don't be afraid to sign up, honestly.
Yeah.
And we are trying our absolute best to make this first race the best that we can. We have people buying and purchasing decorations out of the kindness of their hearts. We have people sponsoring out of the kindness of their hearts so that we can try to raise the most money possible for the Vascular Birthmarks Foundation our first year. So please sign up. You do not have to run. There's no obligations there, because I have a lot of people that are like, well, I'm not really a runner. Girl,
Neither am I.
we drove all the way to Michigan to walk. So
We walked the whole thing.
do not be afraid. And if you have kids, family fun run. Have fun. You know what I mean? It's a good day. Something to do on the weekend with your kids, honestly. So if someone wants to help but can't make the race, is there any way they can still contribute?
Yes, I'm pretty sure there's a donation on the registration page
Mhm.
that you can make, and you could also buy the decorations on our wish list,
Yep.
or you can make a donation to VBF directly.
Yep.
Yeah,
All of the above. Yes, yes, and
all
yes.
of the above.
But, don't be afraid to help, even if you can't come. Because I know some people that really wanted to come and can't come, but we need your help. Anything, please. And that doesn't mean that we're not like desperately. We're not being desperate, I swear. But the more love that we get, the more support, the better the race. And for example, like the wish list, I created that as a way to kind of create a theme and create that purple polka dot race environment in Pennsylvania. And so simply buying something off our wish list means a lot, because now you're adding to the race, you're adding to the fun, and hopefully we can build a community that loves the race and will come back year after year. And if you support our wish list, for example, then you are supporting that. And that means the world in itself. But of course, you can also donate to the Vascular Birthmarks Foundation. Oh my gosh, my hair keeps falling in my face. Anyway, but yeah, you can donate to the Vascular Birthmarks Foundation directly, or you can be a sponsor. We have different sponsorship levels, and I'm pretty sure that is on our page. So check that out. But anything, any support, whether you sign to be a participant, buy something off our wish list. The stuff isn't too expensive. Donating to the VBF directly or donating to our race, anything means the world. So do not be afraid. If you have a small business and you want to advertise your small business, this is the calling for you, because you can even have a tent. You can have a tent at our race and sell your stuff at the race. So don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. I'll sing a song. Don't be afraid. So now that you are currently a college student, what are you studying and what has been your favorite class so far?
I am studying media and communication, and specifically media production, which means like currently working with Photoshop, working with film, like short films, creating a website for basically a portfolio for all my work, which hopefully can be used in the future when I'm getting jobs.
Yeah.
And I absolutely love media production. And I'm also taking media business and media analysis. And media analysis is like, it's sometimes hard to understand because it's so abstract. And my professor wrote his own textbook. So it's entirely like his thoughts.
Oh my.
And sometimes like first hearing it's like, I don't know what you're trying to get at, but okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love like hands-on work
Mhm.
and um like analyzing films and discussing like different shots within scenes. Yeah.
So personally, I think you and my brother would get along well, because I'm pretty sure he's doing the same thing or something similar. Like, I know he's really into films and analyzing them. And if he ever sees a movie and on Rotten Tomatoes, it's like 2 stars, or like if it's like, what is it, like the highest 5 stars? Like if it has
I
like
think so.
4.5, he's like, yeah, that movie's not good. And I'm like, okay, well. Or
Wow,
because he
that's
likes to form his own opinion, but we all know he looks at Rotten Tomatoes. But I can relate with you through like the Photoshop work. Have you used Illustrator?
sort of. I've used it a little bit.
I don't like Illustrator. I strongly dislike Illustrator. I'm taking graphic arts right now. Um, and I really miss when we were working in Photoshop. I strongly dislike Illustrator. Like, I'm sorry to anyone who really likes Illustrator, but I
Yeah. Yeah,
um
Photoshop and I we're not exactly friends yet, just because
yeah.
like you have to figure it out.
Yeah. I like I don't know. I think with Illustrator, like everything on Illustrator is much easier in Photoshop. And I understand that it's higher quality in Illustrator because they use mathematical equations instead of like pixels and grids. But hear me out for a second. Illustrator, why can't you just be a little bit easier? Just take the stuff from Photoshop, but instead use mathematical equations. Maybe you should combine it. There we go. New app.
Mm-hmm.
What's like the like what would it be? Illustrator. Illustrator.
Photostrator.
Photostrator. There we go. We'll create
Photostrator.
that together. We'll create that together.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Photostrator.
Next business adventure. Let's contact Adobe. So, Liz, when do you graduate? And have you thought about what you like to do with your career?
It's sort of open-ended when I graduate because when I transferred, I was like 9 credits short from being a sophomore. So technically even though I was a freshman last year at my old college, I am a freshman again, but next semester I'm a sophomore. So technically I could graduate in 2026, but currently it says 2027. One of the two.
So, do you choose if you want to graduate in 2026 or 2027?
If I meet the credits requirement to graduate in time.
Got it.
So if I think yeah, I
So
think
if you do meet the requirements, you'll
then I can graduate in 26. Yeah.
Got it. That makes sense. Well, when you graduate, if you graduate, we'll give positive manifestations here. When you graduate in 2026, I will just be my freshman year college.
Yeah. That's wild.
So you'll be leaving, I'll be joining.
Oh yeah.
So I know that movies have likely been a big part of life growing up. Can you tell us about your favorite movie?
Yes. So sometimes I struggle with this question because I've had so many different favorites and I've had so many movies from like I like one specific thing about that movie, but I don't like the movie. But Emperor's New Groove is one of like the top movies. And
Yeah.
I could like quote the whole thing watching it.
Slay. I love that movie so much. I love that movie.
It's so good. And
My
it's like
mom,
yeah, it's
oh,
fairly old, but not it hasn't like gotten too old to watch.
yeah, no, definitely. I know, and I'm kind of sad about it too, but I think the first time I saw that was like last year. My mom showed it. I know. My mom showed me it last year, and I'm like, why have I not seen this sooner? Because it's so funny.
It's so good. It's so
But
funny.
yeah, I agree. So in the movie, who's your favorite character and why?
Kronk. Kronk is so good.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. So if you could share a message with others who have a vascular birthmark, what would it be?
Honestly, it's a I it took me a really long time to be able to talk about it, mainly because like I didn't know anything about KTFs until I'd say honestly until my senior year of high school. That's only because I did a senior project on it, so I was actually able to learn about it and learn about all the different symptoms and learn about like how rare it is. Like I had no idea it was so rare. Like I knew it was sort of actually I think I learned from you. I learned from your Instagram how the statistics on it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Learned so much. Those information posts are the best.
Well, thanks. I feel flattered. Yeah. So all of the information that I get, I go to the VBF website or at vbirthmarks.org,
Oh yeah.
because I want to make sure that I'm giving the right facts on my page. But I appreciate that, it's making an impact on somebody else because by doing that research, I'm also learning. You know what I mean? Like I
Mm-hmm.
have known that 1 in 10 individuals are born with a vascular birthmark.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't know that unless if I
I wouldn't know that either.
did the research. So
And actually, I have a story.
okay, share.
So this goes back to my dad's blog. Dad blog. That's what it's called. It's still up. I don't know how to get to it, but I think it's still up.
Is it like a YouTube channel?
It's like it's an actual like blog. Like he wrote in it.
Oh, where do you find that?
And I'll look for it.
Okay.
I love dad blog because it's so funny because
Okay.
it was when I was a toddler, but also a baby. And so he was writing about my experiences with like getting diagnosed, having surgery. And there's this another family who just had their daughter, and their daughter was kind of like, I think they were struggling to get a diagnosis. They're not from Pennsylvania.
Got it.
And finally, her mom did like a research online of like all the symptoms and found my dad's blog and reached out to him and shared like their experience. And he was like, oh yeah, I think like she looks exactly like me.
Yeah.
And she later on got diagnosed, I think, with CMTC, something like that, plus like a few other things.
Yeah.
But essentially got diagnosed because of me, or like was able to
That's
figure it
so
out.
cool. Yeah.
But yeah.
No, I love that. This is why, for people watching, for my viewers, this is why it is so important that if you have a vascular birthmark, to not be afraid to talk about it. Does that mean you have to share your whole life story? No, if you don't feel comfortable, absolutely not. But something as simple as saying, oh, hey, I have a vascular birthmark. Do you? And people will simply reach out to you and be like, yeah, I do. And then you can share your experiences personally with them. Or if you don't want to, that's fine. But I feel like the more people with vascular birthmarks that go out and they share their story on social media, the more people are going to become aware that maybe they have one. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
it's harder with diagnoses like Klippel-Trenaunay syndrome, for example. That's such a rare disease, and like the criteria is
Yeah.
a wide range, in my opinion. Or MCMTC, like that is a lot harder to get diagnosed with than port Weinstein or a hemangioma. And that isn't invalidating anybody who has those vascular birthmarks, but I'm just, expressing that if you have like a rare disease like that, or if you have any type of vascular birthmark, even if it is a port Weinstein, to not be afraid to share your story, because the more people that see that, the more people that become aware of that, maybe that will, hit them like, oh, well, their symptoms are very similar to mine. Maybe I do have Klippel-Trenaunay syndrome. Maybe I should talk to my
Yeah.
doctor about it again. Um, and something as simple as that can really make an impact on somebody. So I think that's really cool. I love to ask all of my guests this next question. If you had a magical superpower, what would it be and why?
I don't know. I feel like, I mean, the first thing that comes to my mind is to go invisible. But like there's a lot of down things to being invisible.
Yeah.
I once heard someone say like, well, if you're invisible and someone's talking about you, but like it's the same, like you can go invisible and you can like go anywhere you want.
It's true.
So I feel like I would stick with going invisible.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think there's like positive and negatives to all superpowers. Like, I think, like,
Mm-hmm.
you know, invisible, like you said, like you could hear somebody talking bad about you, but
Yeah,
maybe it's a good thing because you realize that that person's not real. They're not a real,
exactly.
I mean. So, I mean, I think there's positive and negatives to all of the superpowers, but I like that one. I don't know
Yeah.
if I've been told that one yet, so I like that. Okay. So before we end our interview, is there anything additional you would like to share with our viewers today that we didn't cover?
I don't know. I feel like we covered a lot of it.
I think we did.
Yeah.
I think if you're a viewer that you should sign up for the race. And
Yes.
I don't mean just race. You can walk too. Don't be afraid, girl. Don't be afraid, boy. Don't be afraid, they, them. I'm being inclusive here. But anyway, do not be afraid to sign up. Do not. Like, come join us, please, because we're cool people and you want to see us. I know you do. And you want to do something good for the world, good for the vascular
So
birthmark.
true.
So sign
So
up.
true.
Easy. Anyway, thank you so much, Liz, for taking the time away from your busy college schedule to speak with me today.
So busy.
So busy.
Mm-hmm.
Sprinkle of busies, busy.
Sprinkle of busies.
Mm-hmm. I am so grateful that we had the opportunity to become friends and fellow advocates for the vascular birthmarks community, and I am so excited to host this race with you. Please don't forget that you can join Liz, Ava Piles, Ava Woodchuck, and me at the Pennsylvania Pro Polka Dot race at the Castle Vineyards of Hershey on November 5th. For more information on the race, please check out our profile on Instagram at PA Purple Polka Dot Race or our website at www.purplepolkadot.race.com. Liz, you're definitely more than a birthmark.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So can we take a selfie?
Sure.
Awesome. Psycho boss. Well, let me just look up here. Another one silly. Well, have a good rest of your weekend then.
Thank
Good
you.
Sunday. There we go.
You have a good Sunday too.
Thank you. Bye, Liz.
Goodbye.